Hello students, today we are going to start with rotation and revolution for standard 9 geography, and this is your chapter 3 to go. Under this topic, we'll be understanding these subtitles: rotation of the earth, characteristics of rotation. We'll focus on effects of rotation of the earth. We'll speak about inclination of the earth's axis and its significance. We'll check what do you understand with the term solstice and equinoxes. We'll check the cycle of seasons, and we'll check twilight in low and high latitudes. Okay, this is what we are going to cover for today. To begin with, the very first part of the chapter, that is rotation. You'll have studied about rotation right from lower classes, from standard 5, and then you continued learning about it in standard 7. So what is rotation? Rotation is nothing but it is the spinning of the earth on its axis. It nearly takes 24 hours of time to complete one rotation. Rotation, the earth is rotating on its axis, it is tilted at a particular angle, and this angle will check in the coming few slides. Okay, we have a small clip here which is showing you how the earth rotates. The rotation is basically from west to east, so just please have a look. Okay, so that was a small clip on rotation. Coming towards the characteristics of rotation. Okay, rotation is having few characteristics. To begin with, the very first one is your direction. How exactly the earth is rotating? The earth is rotating from west to east direction, and it completes the rotation in actually 24 hours approximately, but the actual time is 23 hours 56 minutes and 4.09 seconds. The inclination of axis is the next characteristic. The axis is inclined to a particular angle. Now this angle is checked from two different baselines, and these baselines are, we have this horizontal dotted lines, horizontal dashed line, which is the orbital plane. Now from this horizontal line, when you measure the angle of the axis, which is this axis, is 66.5 degree or so, and this is the vertical plane. From here, if you measure the angle, this is 23.5 degree from the vertical plane. So this is your orbital plane, this is your vertical plane. From the orbital plane, it is 66.5 degree, and from the vertical plane, it is 23.5 degree. So when a question is asked, what is the tilt of Earth's axis? So the correct answer would be, it is tilted at an angle of 66.5 degree from the orbital plane and 20.5 degree from the vertical plane. Okay, this diagram is also showing you how the earth rotates from west to east, and the tilt of the axis, and how the movement takes place as a rotational process. Okay, coming towards the speed, at what speed it is moving? It is moving nearly at the speed of 1670 km per hour, and when you are actually checking it with the circumference of the earth, it takes nearly 24 hours to complete one rotation. Okay. Now the speed is maximum at the equator because of the gravitational pull found maximum at the equator, and it decreases as we are moving towards the poles. Okay. Now coming towards the effects of rotation. The very first effect, we know right from childhood that the very first effect of rotation is the occurrence of day and night. Let us check this picture on a slide where you have the sun present and you have the sun's light falling on the earth. The lit portion, the lighted portion is your day, and the opposite side is night. Okay, the angle of inclination is tilted. So whatever circle is formed between the day and night is known as circle of illumination. Now this circle of illumination will keep on moving. It's not a stationary circle. As the earth is rotating from west to east, the circle of illumination will keep on shifting, and that's how we had checked in the previous chapter about how the sunrise, noon and sunset timing varies from place to place depending on the shape of the earth and the rotational process. Okay, so here you can see this tilt of the axis. You have the north polar region, and this side you have south polar region. North polar region is in light, South polar region is in darkness. We'll understand about this in detail in the coming slides. Okay, the next effect is sunrise and sunset. As I was just discussing, the very effect of rotational process is that you have different sunrise timings and different sunset timings. Similarly, noon timings, night timings will vary from place to place as the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Depending on the shape of the earth, the rising of the sun and the movement of the earth on its axis, the sunrise sunset timing will vary from place to place. So sunrise and sunset. Okay, the next effect is Coriolis effect. Now the Coriolis effect says that the rotational process and explains that with the help of a Farrell's law that any freely suspended body will move towards its right in the northern hemisphere and any freely suspended body will move towards its left in the southern hemisphere. Okay, so as the earth is rotating from west to east, whatever is present on the earth's surface in the form of winds, in the form of water bodies as ocean currents, they will move towards right in the northern hemisphere and towards the left in the southern hemisphere. Okay, this is given by the Coriolis effect. And it will also explain that all the winds getting deflected in the north will be moving towards right and in the south will towards left. It will also say that, it also says that the ocean currents will be following the circular path in the form of clockwise direction in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere it will be anti-clockwise direction. So a small slide showing you how the arrow or the direction of the wind is moving towards its right and here how it's moving towards its left. Okay, now the movement of the earth on its axis is from west to east, and because of that what is another effect is that the sun, moon and the stars seem to move, that they are moving from east to west, and that's how we feel that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And similarly other celestial bodies. Okay, the next part is the effect of rotation is leading to the bulge at the equator. The force created by the centrifugal force created by the rotation, that is the centrifugal force, has led to creation of bulge at the equator, which we checked in the first chapter when we were trying to understand the shape of the earth. And the bulge of the equator can be very clearly judged as the equatorial diameter is 12,756 and the polar diameter is 12,714. Okay, so the equatorial circumference is more, and when you check the polar regions are flattened and the equatorial region is bulgy. Okay, rotation causes difference in time on various places on the earth. We studied about this in the previous chapter, that is latitudes and longitudes, when we checked saying that if the time at 0 degree is 12 noon towards the east, because the sun rises in the east, so the eastern hemisphere will be ahead of time and the western hemisphere will be behind of time. So eastern hemisphere, the time at 4 degrees, 1 degree will be 4 minutes ahead. Then 15 degrees east, it will be 1 hour of difference, 1 hour ahead. So if it is 12 here, 15 degrees east, it will be 1 o'clock. 15 degrees west will be behind 1 hour, so here the timing will be 11 am. So the time variation will take place as the earth is rotating with respect to longitude and time. Then we have the side of the earth. Now when we are talking about the light falling on the earth's surface, so the lit portion, the lighted portion where the light is more, will have more of heat temperature conditions, so it will be leading to a lot of insolation activity. Incoming solar radiation will be more. Whereas the other side, if you see the darkness, there will be the emitting of light, that is the terrestrial radiation will take place more. So the lit portion will be in warmer conditions, and the portion which is in darkness will be in the cooler conditions. Then imagine if we had the axis straight or vertical. So we are considering the vertical axis. So imagine if the axis was straight instead of an inclined angle. So what would we experience? We would have experienced equal hours of day and equal hours of night for the whole earth surface. But that is not the situation. So what is the correct situation? The correct situation looks something like this, wherein you have the angle inclined, which we discussed. It is at 66.5 degree from the orbital plane and 23.5 degree from the vertical plane. Now carefully look at this diagram. you have certain letters written. You have A dash A, B dash B, C dash C, D dash D and E dash E. So we are comparing the sun's rays falling on the earth's surface depending on the tilt of the axis. So we have sun's rays falling. So let's check for the equator first. So we have OC, C dash O. If you check the length of the day and the length of the night, they are equal. Okay. The reason behind it is situated at equator. So the amount of light experience and the amount of darkness experience is same. Now if you check Bx and B dash x, so you can see the distance covered by Bx is more than the B dash x. So here the days are longer and nights are shorter. So we'll check for the next one. Dx, you can check here. This is in the southern hemisphere. So the day light is less and the night D dash y is more. Now why here the day is longer and night is shorter? Because the northern pole is facing the sun, tilted towards the sun. Southern portion, if you check here, E dash is completely in darkness because it cannot experience any light. So this portion goes in continuous darkness, and this is also known as polar night. If you check A dash A, the north polar region is completely in light and it will remain in light for some time, for a period of 3 to 5 months, when till the tilt of the axis changes, and that is known as continuous daylight, midnight sun as well. Okay, another picture showing you how the lighted portion, that is the portion because of the tilt of the axis, one polar region is in light, another polar region in darkness. Equator experience equal day hours and equal night hours, whereas the temperate region in the northern hemisphere is experiencing maximum daylight, less night, and in the southern hemisphere less day hours and longer nights. So that's what is the result of inclination of the axis. Okay, now as we are studying about motions, we are focusing on rotation first. Why we don't feel the rotation? As we have checked for the speed, the amount of speed it is taking to rotate is very fast. But why are we not feeling it? Mainly because of the Newton's first law. That is, a body remains at rest or uniform motions unless compelled to change that state by external force acting on it. Okay, and this has been proved by the scientists that the earth is moving on its axis and all the celestial bodies are having the gravitational pull which are pulling each other, and therefore there is no disturbance and you cannot feel the movement as we are present on it. Now the effects of inclined axis we will quickly check. The orbit followed by the earth as it is elliptical orbit. The axis is inclined. North pole remains inclined towards the sun. That time south pole goes in darkness. Then the reverse situation occurs when south pole is in light, north pole goes in darkness. All this leads to variation in length of day and night, and it also leads to changing in seasons. Then imagine if we had discussed earlier, imagine if the earth's axis was perpendicular, what would be the result? We would experience equal day and equal night, and there would not have been the presence of seasons. Okay, coming towards the next motion of the earth, that is revolution. Earth revolves around the sun in an elliptical orbit. So this is your elliptical orbit. So as earth is rotating in this manner, with the rotational process it continues to move, completing this elliptical orbit, and it is taking 24 hours to spin as a rotational process. Along with the rotational process, if it starts its journey from here, it continues to complete the journey with the rotational process and come back to the same position. This is known as revolution. The time taken is 365 days plus 1/4 day, which is equal to 6 hours as well. Characteristics of revolution. It follows the elliptical orbit we just now checked. The speed at which Earth is revolving around the sun is 29.8 km per second. It is nearly 1 lakh km per hour. Okay. The speed of the revolution is not uniform. Sometimes it so happens that the distance between the sun and the Earth is closer, and sometimes it's far apart. So when the distance between the sun and the Earth is closer, the speed increases. When it is far away, the speed will decrease. The duration taken to complete one revolution is 365 days plus 1/4 day, and 1/4 day is nearly 6 hours. The normal year, when we have 365 days plus 1/4 day is known as calendar year, and that 1/4 day, which is 6 hours, is added to every fourth year, which makes up 1 day. This leads to the number of days increased by 1, it leads to 366 days, and this year is known as leap year. Example of leap year is that it has to be always divisible by 4. So year 2012, 2016, the current year 2020 is an example of leap year. And all the years which are not leap years are calendar years. Okay, we check this that the Earth's axis is always inclined to the orbital plane at an angle of 66.5 degree, and the movement of the Earth on its axis, wherever it is pointing towards a direction, towards the polaris, it will follow there till some time. So we have a slide showing here the movement of the Earth around the Sun completing revolution process. Coming towards the effects of revolution, the very first effect is your seasonal changes. Before understanding the seasonal changes, we will check for the vertical and slant rays. Now, the solar radiation moving and hitting the equatorial and the surrounding region, the rays are vertical and the concentration of heat takes place here. So, the heat is more maximum found at the equator. Okay, so basically, equatorial region is not having any seasons. But if you check the regions beyond temperate regions, the rays are spread over because of the curvature of the Earth, and the spreading of the heat reduces the temperature. So these regions, you will have cooler temperatures during the time when the polar region or that particular hemisphere is not tilted towards the sun. So these regions which are beyond temperate region or beyond tropics will experience season in both the hemispheres. Okay. It says that the change in seasonal variation. So we have 4 seasons approximately: summer, winter, we have monsoon season, autumn. All these seasons are not an abrupt change. There will be a gradual change which will take place, and this can be understood with the help of this slide. So we have the location of Earth at different 4 positions. This is the first position, 21st June or 22nd June, which is known as summer solstice. You can check the tilt of the axis. North pole is facing the sun. Okay, so as it is moving from west to east, it will move to this direction. So from June to September, the journey will be, the longer days will be experienced by the northern hemisphere and the shorter nights, and exactly opposite situation for the southern hemisphere. So as the journey continues up to September, the change is gradual and it's not abrupt. And then the journey continues somewhere up to December 21st and 22nd. By the time the south pole is facing the sun. So the southern hemisphere will have longer days and shorter nights, and the northern hemisphere will have longer nights and shorter days. And then again the cycle continues, and we have March. So this is the time when the northern hemisphere experiences spring and the southern hemisphere experiences autumn, and the cycle continues. So this slide is just explaining to us that the change is gradual and it's not abrupt, but we will check this seasons in detail. Okay. The next is perihelion and aphelion positions. Now what are perihelion and aphelion positions? The location of the sun with respect to the movement of the earth is not having the equidistant. So the sun is somewhere located here. As the earth is revolving around it, a time comes when it is at a distance, closest distance, and the closest distance is nearly 147 million kilometers. This is known as perihelion, and it occurs on 3rd or 4th January. Okay, so this is the closest distance. A time comes when, in the process of revolution, somewhere on 3rd or 4th July, the distance increases, and the distance is nearly 152 million kilometers, and that is known as aphelion. So we have 2 different positions. During the revolution process, when the earth experienced perihelion position, the closest distance between the sun and the earth, and the farthest distance between the sun and the earth, which is the aphelion. Creation of heat zones is the result of the evolution process. Again, we have the torrid zone formation between Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn. This is the result of vertical sun's rays falling and concentration of heat. This side, the curvature of the earth in the south temperate zone and north temperate zone, slant rays. So the temperatures are not very hot and not very cold, cooler climatic conditions. And frigid zone, south frigid zone and north frigid zone experiences extremely slant rays leading to extreme freezing conditions. So that leads to the formation of heat zones. Coming towards two important things as far as evolution is concerned, that is solstice and equinoxes. So we'll begin with solstice. We have two solstices, summer solstice and winter solstice. Now the word solstice means sol means sun and sis means stand still. So it is something where we are talking about the position of the sun either very high in the sky or very low, leading to longer days and shorter nights. So we have two things. We have 21st June in the northern hemisphere when the sun is tilted towards northern hemisphere is tilted towards the sun. It experiences summer solstice. At the same time, the south pole experiences winter solstice. Okay, so that occurs. So winter solstice is we have for the northern hemisphere on 22nd December. That time the southern hemisphere is tilted towards the sun and the northern hemisphere is away from the sun. Okay, so I am repeating this part. 21st June, northern hemisphere is tilted towards the sun. So northern summer season is experienced by the northern hemisphere. Okay, at that time southern hemisphere will experience winter season. And when we are experiencing winter season, that is on 22nd December, the south pole is tilted towards the sun. So they are experiencing summer season and we are experiencing winter season. Equinox. Equinox is something we are talking about. This again is derived from the Latin word wherein nox means night and equus means equal. So it is depending on the equal hours of day and equal hours of night. So these 2 days are 21st March where we have spring or vernal equinox, which is the part of northern hemisphere, and on 23rd September we have autumnal equinox, which is the part of southern hemisphere. Okay, so in these 2 days we hardly have any variation in daylight, so equal hours of day and equal hours of night. Also to keep in remember, when northern hemisphere is having spring equinox, that time southern hemisphere will have autumn equinox, and when southern hemisphere will have spring equinox, that time northern hemisphere will have autumn equinox. Okay, let us understand this in detail. We were trying to understand in the previous case where we were trying to understand the inclination of the axis and how it affects. So we have 21st June here. So North Pole is facing the sun. Northern hemisphere will have summer season. Southern hemisphere will have winter season. The longest day for northern hemisphere is 21st June. Then the journey continues. The sun's rays are vertical at Tropic of Cancer here. So for the whole northern hemisphere, 21st June is the longest day and shortest night. The journey continues as the earth is rotating and revolving around the sun, and the sun's rays are vertical at the equator. This time of the year, the whole earth experiences equal hours of day and equal hours of night. This is your autumn equinox for northern hemisphere, 21st September or 22nd September. The journey continues and we have the south pole facing the sun. This time the Tropic of Cancer experiences vertical rays. Southern hemisphere experiences summer solstice. We experience winter solstice. We are experiencing shortest day and longest night on 22nd December. Journey continues and then we reach somewhere on 21st March, wherein again the sun's rays are vertical at equator and we experience spring equinox. That time the southern hemisphere experience autumn equinox. So this is how the seasons in northern and southern hemisphere varies, and they have a reversal relationship. Okay, coming towards the twilight, we are talking about the diffused light which usually occurs somewhere beyond the tropics and beyond 50 degrees latitudes. Okay, so the diffused light is the light which is the result of slant rays. Okay, and if you want to actually understand the twilight, dawn or dusk or the diffuse light, it is something which you usually see after the sunset or before the sunrise. So the bands of color in the sky is an example of diffuse light. Okay, it usually occurs in temperate region on large scale, but it doesn't mean that it is not experienced by the other part of the world. At equator, it merely exists for 1 hour 12 minutes, but as you are moving towards the poles, the duration of twilight or the duration of dawn and dusk will increase. So it might increase up to 3 to 5 months as one whole polar region experiences daylight and one whole polar region experiences night. So when it is the daytime, the diffuse light is in the form of twilight also. So this is a picture showing the dawn period. This is the time or the bands of colors which we usually see in the sky before the sunrise. And this is the dusk period, basically when we see this type of colors or bands of colors after the sunset. Okay. Talking about twilight in the temperate or regions which are beyond 66.5 degree, you can see different bands of light there in the form of twilight. When northern polar region experiences continuous daylight for a period of 5 to 6 months, that period is also known as midnight sun, and that time you can see this kind of light present in the sky. And that light is not very harsh, it is something very mild kind of temperature conditions what we experience before the sunrise or after the sunset. Okay, so with a small clipping you can see North Polar region experiencing, so when the sun's light fall here, this portion experience continuous daylight for a period of 5 to 6 months, that time this is in darkness. So here the twilight is experienced. And when the position changes, when the South Pole is in the light, North Pole goes in darkness, the time South Pole experiences twilight, that is the diffuse light or the light with a very milder temperature conditions. So a quick recall, we were trying to understand rotation of the earth, characteristics of rotation, effects of rotation of the earth. We spoke about inclination of the axis and its significance. We checked for the term solstice and equinoxes. We were trying to understand which are the different seasons for different hemispheres, and we also checked what is twilight and how it acts in higher and lower latitudes. Thank you.